Okay, in this video we finally finished the front end of this car. The entire front clip is going to get welded on. We're going to start by welding this upper radiator support. We have to do this spot on both sides, the driver and passenger side, because it's covered by the inner fenders. So we need to weld that and then grind it down, then fit the inner fenders. So we'll weld those on, and then we'll weld the lower radiator support on, the shock tower braces that go from the firewall to the shock towers, and anything else that we're missing, we're going to finish in this video. It's a lot of welding, a lot of grinding that we shortened up into a small amount of time for this video, which is good because it's pretty tedious and probably boring to watch. But we thought it just, it looks nicer when you try to make it look like you've never touched the car in that spot. We can't get our spot welder in a lot of these areas either. If we did buy that one spot welder, it doesn't work. So it's all plug welds, which is really good. They're strong.
Okay, we're gonna clamp,
and we'll show you what we do to make it look like there are spot welds later on, and then in a couple videos down the road.
I'll tack these, and then I'll go through and clamp them all right next to each other, and each individual hole. We'll get this in place.
That's pretty good right here.
We'll measure from here to there to make sure the top is good still. And we'll weld it. We gotta make sure all these are still good. They look to be. Okay. Actually, it looks like it fits real good. Good. Better than the other side. Yeah, let me measure. I don't think you can get much better. Right here. Just push it right down. What are you going? There's a line on that one, Justin. Isn't it? Oh no. No, it's just right to the edge of that hole, basically. Right there.
So yeah, here we are measuring.
Kind of right where the vice grip is, but I'll measure this cross measurement too. Right here.
And measuring again and again.
Yeah. Oh. It might be an 1/8 off, but it just might be a sheet metal too. So, remember when we had the fenders on and the hood didn't look like it was gonna fit? Yeah, we measured just the width of the thing, right? So let's measure this. Oh man, I don't think I can do it like that.
Yeah, so we're just trying to get that sheet metal really tight against that shock mount. That way it'll just work out a lot better. And it's stronger, the welds are better, and everything fits good that way.
You just have to tap it with a block of wood right around here to make it tight. Yeah. The top of it. I'll pull on the top of it. The helmet. Oh, it's tight, isn't it? Pretty damn tight. It's not that far off. Looks like the bottom's got a touch of a gap. You check. Everything's good here. Check it.
What do you want it at?
2 max.
Why not measure some more?
Height's good. This back height up here. We're gonna clamp it to that thing. This didn't move, so I'd say yeah.
Yeah, that's a pretty tedious process, but you could actually screw the sheet metal to that shock tower, which we did in a couple spots, I think. I can't remember now, but yeah, it does work good to screw that too, because you just need everything really tight.
Okay, so today we're gonna finish the LED. We tacked in this stuff last night, so it's all solid. We're just gonna go around and finish tacking or finish weld, like plug weld all these welds, because everything's where it should be.
Yeah, so right here I'm just trying to complete all of the plug welds, fill in all the entire hole, if there are some that aren't, because I might have tacked a few along the way and then we just didn't do a complete plug weld. So that's what we're doing here.
So I'm just going to clean all these holes out so that we have the weld through primer on, but it doesn't always light off good with the
welder. So if you clean up, if you want to keep protection, and then you can kind of clean up the holes like this, you know, get them down to bare metal. It works pretty well. So I'm gonna go do that.
So I'm just talking about cleaning up the holes inside the hole where you are going to put your weld. It won't really matter too much. You're going to cover the entire bare metal area there with weld. So you won't have to worry about corrosion. It's just anything outside of the weld. You know, you want the corrosion protection, which you'll still have because that paint is still in between those pieces of metal, and you're only hitting with that wire brush pretty much just inside that circle, and you'll be good. Our welder just didn't seem to light off well. Probably better welders would and burn right through that paint, but ours was not working well with this particular paint, so the weld through primer. So we just wanted to make it a better weld by doing it this way, a cleaner weld and everything, and it seemed to work out well.
Okay, so I've gotten to this one, which has a Quico hole. So I'm going to put a piece of copper. Behind it when I clamp it tight. Because you want to clamp these tight and get these, so you should see no space, pretty much no space between, around the circle, between the two pieces of metal.
Yeah, that inner fender fits really good since we moved that shock tower in too. Lays nice.
That should do. You see the copper right there. Okay, so I had to make a little adjustment right here. This hole right here, the seam, like the fender bend, the inner fender bends right there along that edge. Well, this thing was drilled out on an edge. We should have fixed it probably off the car and just filled in this lower hole. Somebody drilled the spot weld out, and they didn't get it the first time, so they drilled another hole. So it happened to be right on that line, but there was a big gap right there, so I had to take my hammer like this and then hit it with another hammer in order to go right around that edge. Usually you don't want to do that, but in this situation I just had to. There was a huge gap. It was probably a 1/4 inch at least. No matter how much I tightened these clamps, it just wouldn't get any tighter. So I'm going to weld it in right there.
Yeah, it's just such a tedious process doing all these plug welds, but it's going to turn out really well in the end. And I have a lot of respect for people who do this every day because it's just a lot of work. But
Okay. So I filled the bottom hole. Just gotta do the top one now. We're good.
it's funny how long each weld takes and how long the whole thing. This is like hours, shortened down in just a couple of minutes or seconds. But it's great. It's going to turn out really well. You'll see us adjusting the metal a lot as we go along and we weld. We're just trying to get that gap really tight when we weld the panels together.
Got it behind it. Oh, yeah, it is. Yeah. We didn't bend it, but yeah, it's gotta be bent a little bit. Not bad though. Looks about right. Yeah, fine with me. Run it. Still welding. They're ugly welds, I know.
You got enough spray to spray some of these bats here?
Yeah, ready?
Yeah. Is that where you want it?
Yeah, for now. Ready?
Yeah.
Take that off.
You gotta clean it up.
Ready?
Yeah, so this part's all structural too, this whole inner fender and everything. So we're trying to make it all look like we didn't ever touch it, but also be strong.
We have almost every hole welded on the inner fenders now. We'll have to come back and touch up the welds and clean them up and make them look nice.
So I'm just using a little push stick here to tighten up that metal when he welds it. That's the same thing that screws can do, but you don't have to weld the holes up.
Okay, so we're working on the Cuda today, and you can see we've gotten most of the spot welds, or the plug welds, ground down on both sides. We're getting close. And out here.
So right here we're going to get the brackets that hold the brace that go to the firewall to the shock tower welded on. There's little brackets that go on each side, and then your brace goes into them. The braces we had to actually, we weren't sure. Okay, so the factory ones were bent up maybe and not quite straight, so we bought some. I found some OEM ones on eBay. They were off of like a 71 Roadrunner because they are the same as the e-body at that point, close to the same. There's one little difference in them that you wouldn't really notice unless you knew what you were looking at, or they were right next to each other. So we chose those, put those on. They were a good deal. That's what we're putting on here, and we're just getting everything ground down real nice because you can't get to the welds after we, put the braces on. So we're gonna grind them down here first, right now. And then we'll put the braces, we'll put some weld-through primer on them, put the braces on, and it'll be in good shape. So what I'm doing right here is just filling in a couple holes on that brace. The braces, we just needed to prep them before we put them on the car. They were OEM also off another car. Somebody drilled out a couple extra spot welds and left holes that don't match up right, so I had to fill a couple. The same thing is happening right here on the car. My brother is filling 2 holes, I believe, that didn't line up with the bracket when you put it on there, so you could still see them on this inner fender because it's off another car too. It's OEM, and everything doesn't line up just the same on each car. So we're just filling 2 in, and he's grinding them down and getting ready. We're going to put some weld-through primer on, and then we can weld that brace on.
Alright, we get the clamps. Those clamps. We're doing time first. The original was where it was. There. So that's where the original kind of sat on the car. This one's never been, you know, disturbed until we took it off, but that's the whole alignment. Okay. Yeah, I'd say that's pretty good.
You want to clamp it with the clamp?
When we clamp it, it'll stay there.
Will we go down?
Huh? Yeah, it's fine.
Will it clamp? That's what I'm questioning.
Yep, I just did it with my hands. Oh yeah.
There's a gap right there.
Is that tight or?
I don't know.
This, I mean, I can clamp it more with my fingers, so I wouldn't worry. That's good.
Alright, I just don't want to weld it if we gotta move it
I
off.
know. I don't think we. I think it's just where this metal piece is bent. Hey guys, we're working on the Cuda tonight. We want to put in the lower radiator support, and that'll pretty much finish up all the welding we have to do on the front end. We do have to fill in one spot. This hole is a little too big. It will show through if we don't weld it up a little bit, like halfway. So I've got to do that before we put that on, and then we should be able to weld that on tonight and be in good shape. So we finished welding that. We're grinding it right now. We got to just finish smoothing that out so it sits flat. We'll put a little copper weld on the inside there where it's going to touch the frame rail.
What's that?
Got to throw the weld on paint.
Chance it.
So we got to put a little tension on this in order to tighten up the inner measure where these brackets right here line up on the inside of the frame rail. They weren't tight to it, so we put a little pressure on and just moved it in. Now they're tight. See, it's a perfect fit. So I think if we do that first and weld everything, then we'll be good. The measurements are all still in. We just checked them. Width and crisscross measurements. Okay, so we're just double checking all of our measurements, triple checking again over and over, just making sure everything fits right. This is the last piece. We kind of left it out to do the last piece. It just seemed to work out better that way for us, to assemble it with that as the last piece. So we'll get that lined up and then weld it in. So we didn't quite get this welded on the other night. By the time we got it all organized to where we wanted everything and set, it was late. So we're gonna do that today. We're gonna try to clean up the holes. Or we're gonna weld with this. Oop, you don't want to be right there. We're just getting everything clamped down where it needs to be. We put a little tension on this with the strap. You put it where it needs to be. There. So we got this brace in. It's all welded in. We're just going to grind all the welds down like we did over here. Then we're going to sandblast them all and epoxy primer everything so it's ready to go. But yeah, a lot of welds to grind in precarious areas. So we're going to try to do that tonight. So we're working on the Cuda tonight. We just about finished up grinding these welds. We're going to work on them a little bit more, but I think I was low on battery on this camera and I didn't get us grinding them, but you can see the results. Did pretty good. Getting this thing ready for primer so we can put epoxy on it. I did notice we need to sandblast and then weld these in. Got a couple little... It's where the bumper bracket went on there. It must have kind of had a rust. Rust was starting underneath the bumper bracket on this, whatever car this was on. Because the rest of this thing's mint. It's just right there. I mean, even in here is nice. Where they usually rust. So, something weird was going on there to make that happen. But you can definitely tell where the metal's been pushed in, though, because the rust started expanding underneath the bracket, and the bracket's bolted in here. And when you get that, it's like, you know, it's got so much pressure, it just pushes the metal and it dents the metal.
So we are sandblasting all of the welds we did. They were done over a few days' time, and it's been very humid, so we were worried that the bare metal might rust, or down in between little pinholes in the welds or something might be rusty, so we wanted to just be certain. So we are sandblasting them now, and then we'll cover them with some epoxy primer. It was really nice for all of us to stand back and look at the front of this car being complete, finally welded all together, and see a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel after what seemed like a really long time working on this and making it look the way it did.